stars. Welcome back to another insightful episode of Spark Igniting Minds, where we bring inspiring leaders, visionaries, and change makers to share their wisdom with us. Sumaa Tekur is a seasoned journalist, solo traveler, and best-selling author known for her introspective and adventurous spirit. Her books, including Table for One and The Inner Light, explore the themes of solitude, spirituality, and the transformative power of travel. As a solo female traveler, she has broken societal norms, inspiring many with her tales of independence, curiosity, and courage. Sumaa's writing beautifully merges her experiences as a traveler and a storyteller, offering readers both inspiration and wisdom. Her unique ability to weave personal growth with global exploration makes her an influential figure in the world of travel writing. Welcome back, Sumaa Tekur, for the second episode on our journey, Moments That Shape a Traveler's Journey. So, in this episode, let's explore again more about your solo travel insights and also about your journey into the spiritual sphere. So, my first question to you is, many of the solo travelers, they would like to know more about solo traveling. So, from your experience, what would you want to say to these solo travelers who are beginning their journey?
First of all, thank you so much for having me here today. It's a great pleasure to be here. About someone who wants to travel solo and is curious about it or wants to start traveling on their own, having never done it before, I would say that it is best to start easy and start small. You can start off by going on a day trip on your own. You can start off then slowly by going on an overnight trip somewhere close by, where it does not feel very overwhelming and your exposure to the outside world all by yourself is limited. So you can control it and you can also have some amount of control over your time and what you do with it. Because suddenly if you decide that I'm going to go on a 10-day solo trip on my own, having never done it before, it can feel very scary and overwhelming. So I would say start small, start easy, and in the beginning it would be really helpful to have a fixed itinerary. So having too much empty time without knowing what to do can also be challenging because that's when you get bored, you feel lonely, and you feel as though this is not for me, I should not have come alone. But if you have a set structure for how
set of things to do,
spend your time,
how to
then
spend your time.
that can make that experience much more enjoyable.
What other things do you want them to prepare, like even before they start?
Definitely research the place that you're going to. Research, if you're not staying in a hotel, say you're going to some remote part of the country, then make sure that it is safe. Safety is a very big issue for solo female travelers because society is just not accustomed to seeing women out and about on their own that much. So safety is a very important responsibility that solo female travelers have to take on their own. So research the place really well. Ensure that you take care of yourself at the most basic level. Things like don't go out to isolated places on your own without anyone knowing where you are. Ensuring that, say if you're driving somewhere, drive during the daytime and always keep your phone charged. Keep some contact numbers of even locals with you so that if you need some assistance, there should only be a phone call away. Those basic things which will also make you feel safe. Like you won't feel completely adrift and completely on your own. These are all important things to take care of.
So Suma, you have traveled wide and Lake Baikal has been a very enchanting experience for you, and it is known for its vastness too. And how did you feel standing on the shores of this Baikal?
Yeah. So, for our viewers, Lake Baikal is the largest freshwater lake in the world, and it is in Siberia, in the eastern part of Russia. It was my dream to go there, and I also spent about 10 days around the lake. Whereas, looking at it from different perspectives, and there's also an island on the lake, that's how big it is. And it has very rich biodiversity, both within and around the lake. So it is all fed by this large water body. So I spent a lot of time around the lake. I think every perspective of the lake was very unique, because I even flew over it from south to north. That's how large the lake is. But I think one part of the lake which left me, really, emotional is this place called the Cape Hoboy. It is about 2 hours from the first part of that island where I had gone into. The island is, the village in that island is called Kuji. So from that village, it's a 2-hour drive.
Is it an inhabited island? Or
yes, it is.
There are villages. Okay, there are villages.
All over. So, but they're very the small villages. So the average population in each of these villages is 1,000 or less than 1,000.
Okay.
So from this village, it was a 2-hour drive, and I reached this cape. Okay, so from there the cliffs. From the cliffs, I could see the whole expanse of Lake Baikal. That was very. I felt like I'm, standing at the edge of the world. It was so mesmerizing. I felt like it was alive. The water was alive.
So
that part of Lake Baikal was very special.
Have cast a spell on you, so that you were really had profound emotions to seeing that vastness.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So, what has been the most memorable encounter with a stranger during your time?
Oh, there have been so many, so many. Because earlier, in the earlier segment, I was talking about how I like to talk to locals a lot, and I like to interact with local people wherever I go.
Yes.
So that there have been many life-changing encounters, but I'd like to talk about one very special meeting. And this also happened by chance. So I took the steam engine train called the Circum Baikal train, which goes around one part of Lake Baikal in Russia. So this journey is a very short one. It's about 5 hours, and it goes through just one small stretch, but it goes through several villages, and the locals also use it as a mode of easy transportation. So on this train ride, I met Anton. Anton is a Russian who is a world traveler. He has written books about having traveled to 50 countries across the world, and he also promotes free travel. The idea that wherever we go in the world, we should have someone who opens their doors for us, and we should be able to go and stay in their house, and when they come from their part of the world to our place, we should also open our doors to them, and there should be a mutual exchange of resources, because travel should enable that kind of freedom and movement, is his idea. So meeting with him and interacting was a very special thing for me, but most importantly, on that train ride, he showed me the house of the painter, the famous Russian painter Sviatoslav Roerich. Roerich, who has a connection with Bangalore.
Roerich.
Yes.
The Kanipra Devika Roerich.
Yes, he married this famous actress, Devika Rani, and the Tataguni estate is yours. So on that train ride, in the remote part of Russia, I saw his house from the train window as we were passing by it. And Anton showed me, otherwise I wouldn't have known at all. So great. That was, I think, very special.
So in travel, you make long-lasting friends also. Yes. And friends are more important. And he was very welcoming, and he said that when I come to your country, you should also be open. So that kind of friends, last forever.
Yes.
Yes. So how do you incorporate the stories of the people that you meet into your writing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's where my journalistic training comes into play. It's very tempting to see a story in whoever we meet and whoever we talk to. But I feel that the writing and the structure of it comes together much later.
Okay.
When I'm in that moment with them, for me it's really important to enjoy that present moment.
Okay.
And to enjoy the interaction and to learn as much as possible. I'm very curious, so to appease my own curiosity becomes then very important.
Because each person has a story to tell.
Exactly.
There is some untold story hidden inside them.
So I think the coming together of the story happens for me much later.
Okay.
Initially, I would have gotten all the information. It will all be there in my notes somewhere, because I'm a very meticulous, note taker. So I take notes of everything that I see, anything interesting, people I meet, everything. So I think putting that together in the form of a story comes much later. And also I want to, on that note, talk about this book. This book is actually 5 years old, in the sense that I wrote it in 2018. But by the time it came out, it went through its own journey because of COVID. It was
you traveled from which time to which time?
2005.
And how many countries did you?
From 2005 until 2018, those travels are covered in this book, and 18 countries.
18 countries.
And 15 are there in the book. I had to leave out 3 countries because the book was becoming too big.
Okay, can you tell us about a moment when your travels defied societal exploration?
I think in a lot of ways, when a woman travels solo, that act of going out into the world alone itself is defying patriarchy in a way. Because normally, traditionally, we are not accustomed to seeing women just exploring the world on their own for fun or for whatever purpose, right? So that act of going out alone in the world without a companion who is socially approved itself is against convention.
Okay. What similarities do you find between exploring a new place and uncovering a new story as a journalist?
I think the similarities are, as one would go about as, say, a news reporter. You're going out and you're trying to find authentic information or evidence which can support the event or the news story or whatever has happened. In my case, I leave it free to see what information is coming my way, what insight is coming my way. The information I might get today, but turning it into insight or turning it into a learning or a takeaway may happen much later.
Okay.
Because like I said, this book has had a journey of its own, and it's almost 5 years since I wrote the
Even
first
when you
draft.
were weaving the stories of people, you took some time to, and thereafter only you could write those stories. So similarly, while exploring places, whatever you can gather, that you can weave into the story, So, which travel destination has influenced your writing the most in life?
I think every place is unique in its own way. It's very difficult for me to pick any one destination which has influenced my writing because um, my whole style as a traveler and also my experience as a writer has evolved with every place that I've been to and the kind of people that I've spoken with. So if I go back to say parts of England today, and I saw England in great depth in 2005-2006. The kind of perspective I had then to the kind of perspective I bring now is very different. So I feel that every journey is equally important and every journey has contributed to how I see the world and how I write about it also.
So do you have any special place which really attracted you and which you felt that it is out of the world I have come and I have been experiencing something very different? Did you feel that way?
I think Russia, parts of Siberia made me feel that I was really in some place that is really unfamiliar to me.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because, we watch a lot of American movies. So when I went to the US or to Canada, it did not surprise me at all because I was so familiar with their culture. We eat their food, we know their movies, we know their stars, we know their accent, we know their culture. And even so for Western Europe, we read so much about those places, so there is a familiarity with
So you have been interacting with so many locals of different countries. So what difference do you find like while each country has a different culture? So how do you find it different from our country?
I feel that India is special in its own because somewhere I feel in its diversity we have been able to retain a certain unity, a certain ethos in the country which makes it quite unique compared to
Okay, so you don't feel so much of diversity in other
There is,
countries?
definitely there is. Like for example, even in Russia,
Russia is a very
Siberia,
large country.
It's the largest country in the world. Even parts of Siberia, very different from parts of Western Russia, like Moscow and St. Petersburg. They're very, very different. They have their own ways of doing things. They have their own culture. Diversity is there. But I feel also.
But then at least their language is one.
Yeah.
Is it not so?
Yeah.
They are bounded by one language.
Yeah.
Maybe they are bounded by the nationality and the same kind of culture everywhere throughout the country.
Yeah.
But here, every state has a different culture.
Yes. Here, in fact, every 50 kilometers that we travel, there's something different. Food changes,
and the language
dress
changes. Yes.
There's so much, just very, very deep.
Yeah.
The level of, the depth of diversity may not be that much.
When compared to
even though there is, we're very, very diverse and we may not know that.
Okay. So, how do you prepare for a new travel adventure?
I try to keep a balance between reading about it beforehand and allowing the place to surprise me as much as possible. Because there's no fun in going to a place knowing everything about it. Yes. Right? Then, how are you going to let the place surprise you? How are you going to just find new things?
Yeah.
Exactly. So that is a difficult balance to have because you do want to enrich your experience of the place also by knowing enough about it so you're not missing the most important things. But you also want to leave some things for serendipity. So I think that balance becomes really important and I prepare by reading about it but just enough.
So what was the inspiration behind your book, Table for One?
Yeah. So Table for One is the second book that was released, and it is a manual for women who live solo or who want to live solo. So I did not actually intend to live solo for so many years of my life. It had been 10 years by the time the idea for the book came to me. And when I look back and I thought, hey, 10 years I've been living alone, and happily so. I think it's worth writing about because it's quite an unconventional choice, even though now, at least in urban India, a lot of women are choosing to live alone.
Yeah.
I felt it would be a good manual for women who want to make that choice and to prepare them to see what they should prepare for, what they can encounter, what the kinds of reactions you get from society, how can you deal with it, how should you prepare mentally?
Have you got any reactions like since you have been staying alone for so many years?
Yeah,
lots of.
Yeah, I mean, just like with solo travel, how when I go out, people ask me, but why? Why are you traveling alone? Why don't you have friends, or why don't you have family going with you? Even with solo living, people do ask, but why do you make this choice?
What's your answer to that?
I mean, it's a preference.
Yeah.
And so I'm not, I guess, easily pressured by, society says this is how it should be, so you should do it like
there are
this.
no rules, regulations, and you can live.
We make all these rules, so it's okay.
Yeah. So how did writing The Inner Light, the second book, that's the first book or second book?
The Inner Light is the first book.
Inner Light is the first book. How did Inner Light influence your spiritual journey?
So I think I would say it was the opposite. So I had quite a bit of a spiritual journey before I wrote the book.
Okay.
So the writing of the book became then a collection of insights from what my spiritual journey had been. From, for over a decade, more than that actually.
What do you mean by a spiritual journey?
So I think it's more an awareness of the self, awareness of your surroundings, awareness of the people around you, how you interact with the world, and how certain certain situations or people, how do they trigger you? How do they make you
and you learn a lot, and I think you get a lot of insights by interacting with so many people, and that makes you more spiritual and evolved, isn't it?
Yeah, I think but for that, I mean, mere interaction is not enough. I feel from the interaction there should also be some amount of reflection.
Okay.
Because we might talk to 50 people a day, but if you're not reflecting on what the nature of those conversations are, it's of no use. So we really have to, and that can only be done in isolation. We sit alone and we decide.
And that's the best journey, I can say, going inward. Inward is the best journey. Okay. So what advice would you like to give to aspiring solo travelers?
To aspiring solo travelers, I would say firstly start young. It's good to develop a taste for solo travel when you're not caught up by too many other responsibilities in life. So starting young helps with that, and it also helps with you taking responsibility early in life. So
you're self-reliant.
Yeah, responsibility for your safety, responsibility for what choices to make, where to go, where not to go. Developing an intuition that comes from solo travel.
Can you share a sneak peek into your upcoming projects as a solo traveler?
Yeah, so since COVID, actually, since the pandemic, I haven't traveled much because I was busy with work and other commitments. But there are large parts of the world that I still haven't seen. I've not seen Africa. I've not seen South America. So my next travel, I really would like to do a deep dive into South America because places like Peru, Colombia, they have such rich heritage and so much cultural exploration possibilities. I would like to do that next, but that might take another 2-3 years to plan and to. And
that's wonderful, Suma. It was such nice talking to you, interacting with you, and knowing about your journey. Not only about different places, about your spiritual journey too, and staying alone for so many years, facing so many challenges. You have become more spiritual and more profound, I can say. This is very interesting. So, thank you so much for sharing your experience.